Hi, I'm Dewson from QuitKick, and I'm going to show you how to fit a total stall system. So the first thing that we're going to do is look at what you need and what you get with the unit. So firstly, what you get with the unit are two shock sensors, the main unit, and all the hardware that you need to fit it. So the first thing I'm going to do is attach the back plate to the door. And the way that you do that is make sure that the back plate is the right way around, the brackets need to be pointing upwards, and you'll find two extra pieces. So the back plate effectively comes in 3 bits. And the first thing you're going to do is put a carriage bolt through the back plate and the back parts of the back plate, like that. Okay? So I've got the washer on the other side of the back plate, and I'm going to just very gently put on two nuts rather, on the other side of the back plate. It can be a little bit fiddly. They just need to be finger tight. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to slide the back plate onto the bars. Again, we're only going to finger tighten them at the moment, because what we need to do is we need to make sure that the back plate is in the correct position for the spray to enter the stall. So just going to finger tighten them so that we can have a play around with it. Take one of your remote sensors. With the unit turned off, if you give the remote sensor a tap, you'll see a green light come on. That means that it's sending the signal. Now, the signal is already married up to this particular unit. What you'll notice is that there's a number on the front of the unit, and that should match the number that is written on the back of your sensor. So these should be married up together. I've already filled the reservoir with water, so the unit is good to go, and we're just going to make sure that it works. So when I tap this remote sensor, the unit should activate. There you go. So the next thing to do is to actually attach it to the back plate. And as you'll see, there are two matching brackets on the back of the main unit that match the brackets on the back of the back plate. So there it is attached. And what we need to do is we need to make sure that the spray of water is going into the stall. What I'll do is I'll give it a quick tap and see how it's going. And as you can see, it's actually hitting that bar there. So what I'm going to do is turn the unit off again. And because I've only finger tightened the bolts, I should be able to move the unit along enough to make sure that it no longer hits that bar. So let's try it again. Okay, so there you go. So once you're confident that the water is actually going through into the stall, missing the bars, you're okay to tighten up the bolt. So I've tightened those up pretty tight. Don't go completely crazy, because this is a plastic back plate and it will break eventually if you tighten it hard enough. So it just needs to be secure enough that it's not moving, and to make sure it's in the right place. So we're now ready to fit the remote sensors. I've turned off the main unit because you don't want it going off whilst you're fitting the sensors. And I'm going to take this into the stall along with some screws and a screwdriver. There are 4 holes and there are 8 screws for 2 remote sensors, and we're going to fit them in the stall. So I've got the remote sensor and I'm going to attach it to the wall. And what you'll notice is that there's an area here where the horse has clearly been spending a lot of time kicking. There's a fair amount of damage to this wall. It's not the original anyway, so it's already been repaired more than once. But what I'm not going to do is fit the sensor exactly where the horse is going to kick, because although it's in a pretty solid box and probably would survive a horse kick, it's not a great idea to have the horse kick the unit directly. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to attach it very low on the wall. And after I've attached it, I'm going to cover it with some straw, because we don't really want the horse to know that it's there. Shouldn't be able to get to it anyway, but just for safety's sake, we're going to cover it with some straw so that the horse can't see it. And that is your shock sensor attached to the wall. Now this is the point at which I'm going to get my mallet out, and the reason I brought the mallet is that we want to make sure that the shock sensor is picking up a kick. And the reason I'm using a mallet rather than kicking the wall myself is that if you're wearing a pair of tennis shoes or any kind of rubber-soled shoes, you're going to struggle to create the same type of effect that a horse kick will create. And the sensor is very sensitive to a horse kick. What we don't want is for the horse to be unable to touch its wall. We don't want it going off if the horse brushes against the wall. So the sensor is very much set up for a kick. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the wall a whack with my rubber mallet, and hopefully we're going to see that green light on the top of the sensor go off. There you go, it went off. What we're just going to cover up with some straw so that the horse doesn't know that it's there. So that's it. And now I'm ready to go and fit the other sensor on the other wall. So what I'm now going to do is I've fitted both sensors to the walls, and I'm just going to make sure that the unit is picking up the signal by giving the wall a whack with my rubber mallet, and make sure that we get a water squirt. So there we go. We're ready and the unit is fitted. Let's get a horse in here.